Hello, everyone. This is Racquel Palmese, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I am a little bit late because I had a whole bunch of technical difficulties, and I had to change my computers, and now I'm on my phone. And okay, I'm taking a deep breath, and I'm here with you, and so glad to see those little hearts rising up out of on all the beautiful faces that are here with me. Thank you. So, going through all the technical glitchery, it feels very important to communicate with you today about something that is very close to me and something that has been calling me for quite a while. So, let's take a deep breath and kind of settle in here and feel the energy releasing, kind of whatever's been in your day so far. And just kind of feel a stream of energy beginning to flow between us. As you probably are aware, energy doesn't know about time or distance or walls. It is present with us, and we can fully feel the circulation between us if we just kind of settle in, release any distracting thoughts for the moment, and focus on each other. I feel you. I feel those who will tune in after this live is over. So thank you for your presence. A few years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I began to feel a strong calling to address a vital issue, spiritually and in life. And that is called what I called eldership. It is about elders. And like citizenship, eldership is, how do we be a good elder? What is being asked of us spiritually and in life? Where we live in a culture mostly where we are kind of asked to fade away or begin fading away and make room for younger, more, vital generations behind us. But what I got very strongly at that time is that this is completely backwards. And I began to have workshops and exploratory writings, downloads from Spirit about the true meaning of eldership and how we all need to take a look at it. So I did. It seemed, to tell you the truth, a little big for me. It felt like this is for scholars, this is for philosophers, this is for people that write books, and I kind of didn't know what to do with it, but I've always felt the urgency. And the idea of eldership has worked its way into many of my workshops. It has attracted young people and older people, because we're all going to come into this role, hopefully, at some point, and we should be looking at it. But here we are in this age of coronavirus, in this age of a pandemic, when many of the people that are falling ill with the COVID-19 are senior citizens, as we call ourselves. Many of us are in nursing homes. Many of us are imprisoned. Many of us are kind of feeling like extra wheels in a family situation. And sure enough, the guidance I was getting all those years ago, that kind of feeling that soon this was going to be more than just an interesting issue, more than just for those seers and seekers who want to live a full and productive life. That the guidance I was getting those years ago was that this is going to become very, very vitally important. So here we are. I would ask, whatever age that you're at, whether you're in your 20s or whether you're in your 80s, wherever you live, whatever culture you're in, to please allow these words to enter your heart and your mind. Because the truth of eldering really is that everything that I have lived up until this moment in all of my 73 years, every stitch of experience that I have had, and boy, I've had a full life, every bit of it has led up to this time of life where we celebrate youth in our culture. The truth is that this is the piece where it all begins to make sense, where we can look back on the trail of our lives if we wish to, and honor it and realize that this third trimester, as I'm calling it, of life, is when we truly get born. This is when we actualize. This is when we become the wisdom keepers for our communities, our families, our world. This is when our gifts can unwrap because, plainly speaking, we don't tend to sweat the small stuff so much anymore. We don't, kind of sink into pettiness, although a lot of us do. Because most of the people that are my age, and even younger, feel that the demand on them is to kind of be loving, fading away beings. Sometimes we turn into cynical, complaining, unrequited, regretful people. Often we become very cynical about life. All this is to say that this time, this third trimester, this birthing of our eldership is a vitally important time of life. This is when our spirituality flourishes. This is when we can see through a lot of the constructs and falsities of our culture and our life. This is when we can truly look at the world through the eyes of God. This is where we are granted permission to love in such a big way that we become part of spirit itself. I didn't reach my true spiritual awakening. I mean, I had spiritual awakenings my whole life, I guess. I've always felt very much in tune with the mysteries and very excited about what was around the corner that I couldn't see. And I always felt a deep connection to the ephemeral, to the mysteries. But it wasn't until I was over 50 that I had a true spiritual awakening. A series of them that continue to this day. Awakenings that took me to my knees. Awakenings that asked me to do the healing work of letting go of old identities, of old thoughts, of old ways of being, of entering a period of deep cleansing, of growing love, of coming out of judgment and criticism and really being able to see. Spirit revealed itself to me in many dark nights of the soul, where I would lie awake and look at energy forms playing on the ceiling and thinking, is just this my optic nerve? Or is this truly, am I truly being given the gift of seeing beyond the veils of separation between me and spirit. This is when I found my teacher, Charles McCall, my beloved friend, who is no longer on this plane. This is when I began to take responsibility for fulfilling the truth of my life, my existence. This is when I began, for the first time in my life, taking myself seriously as a gifted spirit and human, and all the responsibility that went with that began to fall on my shoulders. I felt great empathy for all of us in human form here, trying to live these impossible lives, trying to become something without having an idea what it looks like, trying to conform and then trying to not conform, trying to be ourselves without a clue what that means. And as I went through these severe processes, and some of you know well what it looked like for me, and some of you were right there with me, and thank you. We know well what it is to have such a cleansing and to know that there is something in the future that is calling me, something very important, something that I have to surrender to without knowing what it looks like, but just putting one foot in front of the other as my footsteps disappeared behind me and I had no new ones to follow yet. Just moving with spirit, with life, being willing to open my heart to it more and more every day. The love that flooded into me was so far beyond the romantic heart, so far beyond the heart pain that I had carried, of regret about my life and everything else that we all process so much of. Over time, I felt the echoes of my history through eons of time, through creation itself. I began to see myself as a healer, not one that fixes, but one that awakens. And here I am at this very moment in time, as we are hopefully taking advantage of this isolation and sequestration to look deeply into the meanings of our life. Here I am, being present with you as an elder, sharing wisdom, sharing my heart, and knowing that for as long as I can hold on to these marbles, that I will be growing, that you can depend on me for that, that with every fiber of my being, I am here and present to encourage you and poke you, and if you listen, to share what flows through me for you. Eldership means taking responsibility for the collective. Eldership is not simply being a loving grandparent, although that is a wonderful thing, but it is being a loving parent to the whole collective, to feel the rhythms of our own life, the births, the deaths, the losses, the gifts, the climbing to the top and then the falling off the cliff over and over and over again. We elders are here to let younger people know that it's all survivable, that we don't have to start labeling ourselves with diagnoses of psychological trauma and impossibility. We know that we can exist beyond the structures and beyond the boxes that society often tries to put us all in. And speaking directly to you, I will tell you that we are the ones, not the younger generation. We are the ones to bust all these structures apart, to let people know that hyper creativity is coming in for us, that we need to rethink the way we live, and that we need to represent what is possible on this planet, not what is dying off, what is disposable. We are not disposable. We have to let it be known that we are the most important aspect of life because we have lived it. It is our stories, our experiences, our knowing. And if we're willing to come into our own wisdom keeping, we will truly be given the crown of elder by Spirit, by God, by our families, by the world. So awaken, elders, please. Let us all join up into a collective web of wisdom and higher heart love that we can infuse our cultures, the stuckness, the stickiness, the stubborn denial, the limited thinking, the hopelessness. Let us stand for freedom in a truer sense of the word than just refusing to wear a mask. Let us stand for a liberty and a freeing of the heart, the knowing that this is a soul's journey, that at our age we can actually feel the soul connection in life. Let us stand for something beautiful, and let us reflect back to those younger the potentiality of their own growth. Let us not think we know anything, because we don't have to. We can receive all that we need from streams of consciousness that we are so close to. So thank you, everybody who is with me today. My heart is so happy to be delivering this message and this call to the elders, the sub-elders, the youngsters, to everyone, that we may all join up in this grand adventure that we call life. Thank you. I love you. Join me, please.